It's 6:42 a.m. Your coffee is hot. Your phone is already buzzing. But instead of thinking about the day ahead, your brain is running numbers. Rent, insurance, bills. That strange, heavy tiredness you can't explain to anyone without sounding dramatic. Then scroll. An old video pops up. Donald Trump. Not an announcement. Not a policy. Just one of those familiar comments about discipline, order, and how some Asian societies seem to work better. You almost skip it. But something sticks. Not because of Trump. Because of the question it quietly unlocks. If there are places where life doesn't grind people down every single day, why are we still here? And here's where it gets interesting. People aren't talking about France. They're not dreaming about Italy. They're not fantasizing about the usual postcard countries. Instead, a name keeps showing up, softly, privately, almost awkwardly. Malaysia. Why that country of all places? And why now? Let's clear something up immediately. This story does not start with Donald Trump, and it definitely doesn't end with him. Trump is just background noise to something much older and much heavier. America in 2026 hasn't collapsed. The lights are still on, jobs still exist, cities still move, but everything feels heavier. Not poor, not broken, just constantly braced. People are working, they're earning, they're technically fine, yet every decision feels like defusing a bomb. Can I afford this apartment next year? What happens if I get sick? Will retirement even exist for me? Or is that just a myth my parents believed in? This isn't poverty. This is exhaustion. So the real question becomes, when a country still functions, but no longer lets people breathe, what happens next? Here's the mistake most people make. They think Americans looking abroad want an escape. They don't. They're not searching for luxury. They're not chasing cheap cocktails on a beach. They're not asking for perfection. They're asking for something painfully simple, a life that doesn't feel like a constant emergency. And that's why Europe, surprisingly, starts to fade from the conversation. Not because Europe isn't beautiful, but because it's expensive, complex, bureaucratic, and emotionally heavy in its own way. High taxes, language barriers, administrative mazes. So the search shifts east, not toward fantasy, toward function. And suddenly, Asia isn't exotic anymore. It's practical. But out of all the options, one country keeps coming up, without hype, without ads, without influencers screaming about it. Malaysia. Why would Americans even look there? Malaysia doesn't sell itself. Doctors speak it. Officials speak it. Contracts are readable. That alone removes weeks of stress most people don't realize they're carrying. And then there's safety. to $800 a month. Not survival housing. Real. This just a short fantasy. This is where we stop romanticizing. Malaysia is instead of demanding your soul. Penang slower, historic, coastal, morning cafes, evening walks, less pressure, normal life. But what really keeps people staying isn't buildings or prices. It's something harder to describe. What does it feel like to exist without? Malaysia doesn't love bomb you. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't ask for performance. People are polite, reserved, respectful of space. Nobody interrogates your identity. Nobody pressures you to explain yourself. In a multicultural society, difference is boring. And Americans say something revealing. I don't feel like I have to prove anything here. No hustle signaling. No status theater. No constant comparison. Just space. But no place is perfect. So what are the real trade-offs? Malaysia asks for compromise. Bureaucracy exists. Some things are slow. Paperwork still breathes. The climate? Hot, humid, constant. Social rules are clearer. Freedom is structured differently. But people make the trade willingly. Speed, stability, chaos, predictability, pressure, peace. And then the final question hits. Not political, not economic, personal. This was never about Trump. It was about fatigue. A generation realizing that freedom isn't infinite options. It's waking up without dread. Malaysia isn't for everyone. But for those who want life to feel lighter, not louder, it has become a serious option in 2026. So here's the question I'll leave you with. Would you stay or would you begin again? If you want more stories about people quietly choosing a different way to live, subscribe to discover Top 10 the Globe. There are many more choices the world doesn't advertise, and they're closer than you think.